Sorry I'm a few minutes late. Hello. Morning. I have a lot of trouble sleeping because, well, I'm uncomfortable, and I fell back asleep this morning and I accidentally slept in a little bit, but it's okay. It's okay. Morning. Okay, I have trouble sleeping because I have a cat that likes to sleep on my head. Oh dear. That's not good. No good. Oh yeah, no worries, Liz. I was actually already walking out here when you when I saw your text, Liz, so you weren't rushing me. I jumped up and I was like, oh my gosh, what's going on? And so that's what happened. It wasn't you, don't worry. I was like, my brain. I haven't set an alarm for myself in so long because I naturally wake up most of the time, so that is the whole situation. That is the whole situation. Impressive consistency for no alarm. Yeah, I'm pretty consistent. I wake up at pretty much the same time every day. That's why I don't use alarms, because I don't like the sound of alarms. I just don't like hearing it. I'm pretty noise sensitive. So I don't really do alarms unless it's like a day when we have to go to the airport really early or something like that. That would be the only time I would really set an alarm. Alright. Let's do it. How's everyone doing today? Is today Friday? I think today's Friday, right? I think I have a doula appointment today. I think. You've been better. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry, Liz. I'm sad for you. Sad, sad, sad. Oh, goodness. Goodness gracious me, oh my. I have an internal alarm clock, but it doesn't always tell. Sometimes I get paranoid. I wake up to, yeah, I wake up really early usually. I mean, I did today also, but I tried to go back to sleep today because I was so tired. So tired. Alright, so, we're probably going to finish the first Princess Diaries today and maybe start the second one, which is pretty exciting. You know, kind of like a 2-for-1 day. Which is cool. Which is cool. I have all your orders in the hallway waiting to go to the post office. The post office doesn't open for a little bit, but we will take them to the post office today. So many. So many of them. Yeah. Anybody doing anything interesting this weekend? We will not be going outside for obvious reasons, but the sky does look considerably better than it did yesterday and the day before. I know, Liz. It's very exciting. There we go. Look at that. Delightful. I'm getting snowed in at my job this weekend. Yeehaw. Oh, yeah, at least you'll have somewhere to sleep, right? Yummy. Delicious. Delicious. Got it all over me, but that's okay. All right. I have a crochet project and a book. Oh yeah, that works. That will work. I don't know if you guys can see, but our plant has new babies. When you see these really light green ones, these are ones that just opened. Like that one over there is not even fully open yet. This one just barely opened. That one's still curly. So the Monstera is thriving and making new leafies all the time. Yeah. Hey Addie, how are you? All right. Let's get into it. Let me pull up our book. Like I said, I already downloaded the next one, so there will be no issue if we finish the first one today. We're at 79%, so we probably will finish the first one today, but that's okay. All good things. In one of your recent videos, you said you were in LA. That is true, I am in LA. We are safe from the fire. We're close to it, but not close enough that it will, you know, get us. The sky's a lot clearer today. And I don't know if any of you saw the updates, but most of the fires, I think there's only one fire that doesn't have any containment left. Most of them have been at least a little bit contained at this point, so it is getting better. It's not ideal, obviously. There's been devastation like crazy, but it is a significant improvement over yesterday, where at this time of day they were all like zero across the board. So it's, you know, it's improving. So that's all we can hope for. Your brother-in-law had to evacuate. Yeah, my aunt and my cousins had to evacuate. Yeah, they did. They evacuated last night. It's a pretty big bummer. We're hoping. Yeah, I knew that, Anya. I knew that. It was just too disparate. You know what I mean? Like, the thing is, like, fire doesn't just, like, jump concrete. You know what I mean? Like, that's just like not a thing of how like wildfires work. like it has to be in a line of brush. It can't just jump counties and be the same fire. Like, that's not a thing. So we knew that it was an arsonist because, like, be for real right now. Yeah. If it had all been like in an approximate location, yeah, a lot of people have lost everything. It's extremely sad. I think honestly the arsonist ones are even sadder because, like, when it's a natural disaster, at least there's not a person to point to, but when there's ones that were purposely started, it's like, what a shame. Like, why would anyone do that? I don't know. Really just like nasty. So nasty. I can't imagine even thinking to do something like that on purpose. Like, what a horrible human being. But that's not for us today. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Like I said, we're at 79%, and we are going to get right into it. Friday night. Abbreviated lesson with Grammy today because of me spending last night at Tina's. Grammy had pretty much gotten over my yelling at her about the press yesterday. She was totally helping me figure out what I'm gonna wear tomorrow night, like I knew she would. She got on the phone with Chanel and she set up an appointment for tomorrow for me to pick something out. It'll have to be a rush job, and honestly it's gonna cost a fortune, but she says she doesn't care. It's gonna be my first formal event ever as a representative of Genovia, and I have to sparkle. Those are her words, not mine. I pointed out to her that it was a school dance and not an inaugural ball or anything like that. It wasn't even a prom, just like a stupid dance to celebrate the diversity of the different racial and cultural groups that all attend Albert Einstein High School. But Grammy went ape anyway, and she kept on worrying about how much time there was to dye my shoes to match my gown. There's a lot of stuff about being a girl that I never even realized, like how your shoes have to match your gown. I didn't even know that was so important. But Tina Hakeem Baba sure knows. You should see her room. She must have every women's magazine ever printed. They're all in order on her shelves around her room, which by the way is huge and pink, much like the rest of her apartment, which takes up the entire top floor of her building. You hit the PH floor button on the elevator, and the elevator opens up into the Hakeem Baba's marble foyer, which really does have a fountain, only you're not supposed to throw pennies in it. I found that out. And then there's just room after room after room. They have a maid and a cook and a nanny and a driver, all who live there. So you can imagine how many rooms there are. And on top of the fact that Tina has 3 little sisters and a baby brother, all of them also have their own rooms. Tina's room has its own 30-inch TV in it with a Sony PlayStation. I can see now that I've been living the life of a monastic simplicity compared to Tina. Some people have all the luck. Anyway, Tina's a lot different at home than she is at school. At home, she's totally bubbly and outgoing, and her parents are honestly pretty nice too. Mr. Hakeem Baba is pretty funny. He had a heart attack last year and he isn't allowed to practically eat anything except for vegetables and rice, and he has to lose 20 more pounds. He keeps pinching my arm and going, "How do you stay so skinny?" And I told him about my vegetarianism and how strict it is, and he went, "Oh," and he shuddered really hard. The Hakeem Baba's cook has orders to prepare only vegetarian meals, which was good for me. We had couscous and veggie goulash. It was all really delicious. Mrs. Hakeem Baba is beautiful, but in a different way than Mom. Mrs. Hakeem Baba is British and very blonde. I think she's pretty bored living here in America and not having a job and all. Mrs. Hakeem Baba used to be a model, but she quit when she got married. Now she just doesn't get to meet all the interesting people she used to meet when she was modeling. She once stayed in the same hotel as Prince Charles and Princess Diana. She says they slept in separate bedrooms and that it was on their honeymoon. No wonder things didn't work out between them. Mrs. Hakeem Baba is as tall as me, which makes her about 5 inches taller than Mr. Hakeem Baba, but I don't think Mr. Hakeem Baba minds. Tina's little sisters and brother are really cute. After we messed around with the fashion magazine, looking up hairstyles, we tried some of them on Tina's sisters. They all looked pretty funny, and then we put butterfly clips in Tina's brother's hair and gave him a French manicure like mine, and he got very excited and changed into his Batman suit and ran around the apartment screaming. I thought it was cute, but Mr. and Mrs. Hakeem Baba did not think so. They made the nanny put the little Hakeem Babas to bed right after dinner. Tina then showed me her dress for tomorrow. It's a Nicole
Miller. It's so pretty, like sea foam. Tina Hakim Baba looks so much more like a princess than I ever could. And then it was time for Lily Tells It Like It Is, which comes on Friday nights at 9 o'clock. This was the episode dedicated to exposing the unjust racism at Ho's Deli. It was filmed before Lily had called off the boycott due to the lack of interest. It was very hard-hitting of a piece of television and news journalism, and I can say that without bragging, since I wasn't involved in the creation of this one. If Lily Tells It Like It Is ever went network, I bet it could be as highly rated as like 60 Minutes. I know, it's really funny, right, Jen? At the end, Lily came on and she did a segment she must have shot the night before with a tripod in her own bedroom. She sat on her bed and she said, racism is a powerful force of evil that all of us must work to combat. And she said that even though paying 5 cents more for a bag of ginkgo biloba rings might not seem like much to some of us, victims of real racism like the Armenians and the Rwandans and the Ugandans and the Bosnians would recognize that 5 cents was only the first step on the road to genocide. And then Lily went on to say that because of her daring statement against the Hos, there was a little bit more justice on the side of right today. I don't know about that, but I did sort of start to miss her when she waggled her feet in their furry bear claw slippers. And then into the camera as a tribute to Norman, she wiggled them into the camera as a tribute to Norman. Tina is a fun friend and everything, but I've known Lily since kindergarten. It's kind of hard to forget that. We stayed up really late reading Tina's teenage love novels. I swear, there wasn't a single one where the boy broke up with a snotty girl and started going out with the heroine right away. Usually he waited a tactful amount of time, like a whole summer or at least a weekend, before asking the other girl out. The only ones with the guys who started going out with the heroine right away turned out to be the ones where the guy was using her to get revenge or something like that. But then Tina said even though she loves reading those books, she never takes them as a guide to real life, because how many times in real life does anybody actually get amnesia? And when do cute European tourists ever take anybody hostage in the girls' locker room? And if they did, wouldn't it be on a day when you're wearing your worst underwear, like the kind with holes in them and loose elastic and bras that don't match, and not a pink silk camisole and tap pants, and like the heroine of that particular book had? She does have a point. Tina's turning out the light now because she's tired. I'm really glad. It's been a long day. Saturday, October 18th. When I got home, the first thing I did was check to make sure that Josh hadn't called me to cancel. He hadn't. Mr. Gianni was there though, of course. This time he had pants on, thank God. When he heard me ask my mom if a boy named Josh had called, he was all, "You don't mean Josh Richter, do you?" And I kind of got mad because he sounded like, I don't know, shocked or something. And I said, "Yeah, I mean Josh Richter. He and I are going to the cultural diversity dance." And Mr. Gianni raised his eyebrows and said, "Whoa, what about that Weinberger girl?" It kind of sucks to have a parent who's dating a teacher in the school that you go to. I went, "They broke up." And my mom was watching us pretty closely, which is unusual for her since most of the time she's like off in her own world. And she went, "Honey, who's Josh Richter?" And I went, "Well, I'm only the cutest, most sensitive boy in the whole school." And Mr. Gianni snorted and said, "Well, at least the most popular anyway." To which my mom replied with a lot of surprise, "And he asked Mia to the dance?" Needless to say, this was not very flattering. When your own mother knows it's weird for the cutest, most popular boy in school to ask you to the dance, you know you're in trouble. "Yes," I said all defensively. "I don't like this," Mr. Gianni said. And when my mom asked him why, he said, "Because I know Josh Richter." Mom went, "Uh-oh, I don't like the sound of that." And before I could say anything in Josh's defense, Mr. Gianni just went, "That boy is going 100 miles per hour, which doesn't even make any sense when you think about it. At least it didn't make any sense until Mom pointed out that since I'm only going 5 miles per hour, she was going to have to consult my father about this. Hello, consult him about what? What I am, a car with like a faulty fan bolt that goes 5 miles an hour and I need a consult? He's fast, Mia," Mr. Gianni translated. Fast? What is this, the 50s? Josh Richter's a rebel without a cause all of a sudden? Well, Mom went, as she was dialing Dad into the phone and his number over at the plaza, "You're just a freshman anyway. You shouldn't be going out with seniors." How unfair is that? I finally get a date and all of a sudden my parents turn into Mike and Carol Brady. I mean, like, come on. So I was standing there listening to my mom and dad over the speakerphone go on and on about how they both think I'm too young to date and that I shouldn't date at all. And since this has all been a very confusing time for me, what with finding out that I'm a princess and all, they were planning out the rest of my life for me. No dating until I'm 18, all girls college dorm when I get to college. And then the buzzer went off in the loft and Mr. G went to answer it. And when he asked who it was, this all too familiar voice went, "This is Clarice Marie Grimaldi Rinaldo. Who is this?" Across the room, my mom nearly dropped the phone. It was Granmere. Granmere had come to the loft. I never in my entire life thought I would be grateful to have Granmere appear for something. I never thought that I'd be glad to see her. But when she showed up at the loft to take me shopping for my dress, I could have kissed her, like on both cheeks even. I really could have, because when I met her at the door, I was like, "Granmere, they won't let me go to the dance." And I forgot Granmere had never been to the loft before, and I forgot Mr. Gianni was there. And all I could think about was the fact that my parents were trying to lowball me about Josh, and Granmere would take care of it. I knew that. And boy, did she ever take care of it. Granmere came bursting in, giving Mr. Gianni a very dirty look. "This is he?" She stopped long enough to ask, and then when I said yes, she made a sniffing sound and walked right by him. And I heard Dad on the speakerphone, and she shouted, "Give me that phone," at my mother, who looked like a kid who'd just gotten caught jumping a turnstile by the transit authority. "Mother?" My dad's voice shouted over the speakerphone, and you could tell he was in almost as much shock as my mom. "Is that you? What are you doing there?" For someone who claims to have no use for modern technology, Granmere sure knew how to work that speakerphone. She took my dad right off of it, snatched the receiver out of my mother's hand, and went, "You listen here, Philippe," into it. "Your daughter is going to the dance with her beau. I traveled 75 blocks by limo to take her shopping for a new dress. And if you think I'm not going to watch her dance in it, then you can just..." And then my grandmother used some pretty strong language. Only since she said it all in French, only my dad and I understood. My mom and Mr. Gianni just stood there. My mom looked mad, and Mr. G looked nervous. After my grandmother had finished telling my dad where he could get off, she slammed down the phone and then looked around the loft. Let's just say Granmere has never been one for hiding her feelings, so, like, I wasn't too surprised when the next thing she said was, "This is where the Princess of Genovia is being brought up, in this warehouse." Well, if she had lit a firecracker under my mom, she couldn't have made her madder. "Well, you now, look here, Clarice," my mother said, stomping around in her Birkenstocks. "Don't you dare try to tell me how to raise my child. Philippe and I have decided that she isn't going with this boy, and you can't just come in here." "Amelia," my grandmother said, "go and get your coat." I went. And when I got back, my mom's face was really red. Mr. Gianni was looking at the floor, but neither of them said anything as Granmere and I left the loft. Once we were outside, I was so excited that I could hardly stand it. "Granmere," I yelled, "what did you say to them? What did you say to convince them to let me go?" But Granmere just laughed in this scary way and said, "Oh, I have my ways." Boy, did I ever not hate her then. More Saturday. Well, I'm sitting here in my new dress, my new shoes, my new nails, my new pantyhose with my newly waxed legs and underarms and my newly touched up hair and my professionally made up face, and it's 7 o'clock and there's no sign of Josh, and I'm wondering if maybe this whole thing was a joke like in the movie Carrie, which is too scary for me to watch, but Michael Moscovitz rented it once and then he told me and Lily what it was about. It's this homely girl that gets asked to the dance by the most popular boy in school just so he and his popular friends can pour pig's blood on her. Only he doesn't know that Carrie has psychic powers, and at the end of the night, she kills everyone in the whole town, including Steven Spielberg's first wife and the mom from 8 is Enough. The problem, of course, is I don't have psychic powers, so if it turns out that Josh and his friends pour pig blood on me, I won't really be able to kill them all. I mean, unless I call in the Genovian National Guard or something like that, but that would be really difficult since Genovia doesn't have an air force or a navy, so how would the guards even get here? They'd have to, like, fly commercially, and that costs a lot to buy tickets at the last minute. I doubt my dad would approve such an exorbitant expenditure of government funds, especially for what he's bound to consider frivolous reasons. But if Josh Richter stands me up, I can assure you I will not have a frivolous reaction. I got my legs waxed for him, okay? And if you think that doesn't hurt, Think about having your underarms waxed, which I have also done for him, okay? This waxing stuff, it hurts. I practically started to cry. It hurt so bad. So do not tell me that we cannot call the Genovian National Guard if I get stood up tonight. I know my dad thinks that Josh stood me up. He's sitting at the kitchen table right now pretending to read the TV guide, but I see him sneaking peeks at his watch all the time. Mom too, only she never wears a watch, so she keeps sneaking peeks at the blinking one-eyed cat clock on the wall. Lars is here too, but he isn't checking the clock. He just keeps checking his ammunition clip to make sure he has enough bullets. I suppose my dad told him to shoot Josh if he makes the wrong move. Oh, yeah, my dad said I can go out with Josh, but only if Lars goes too. This is no big thing since I always expected Lars would be going anyway, but I pretended to be all mad about it so my dad wouldn't think I was getting off too easy. I mean, he's in big trouble with Grandmere. She told me while I was being fitted for the dress that my dad has always had a problem with commitment, and the reason he doesn't want me to go out with Josh is that he can't stand to see me get dumped in the way that my dad got dumped by countless models all over the world. God, assume the worst, why don't you, Dad? Josh can't dump me. He hasn't even been out with me yet. And if he doesn't show up soon, well, all I can say is his loss. I look better than I ever have looked in my entire life. Like old Coco Chanel really outdid herself. My dress is hot. Pale blue silk, all scrunched up on the top like an accordion, so my chest being flat doesn't even show, and then it's all straight and skinny the rest of the way down, all the way to the matching pale blue silk high heels. I think I kind of resemble like an icicle, but according to the ladies at Chanel, this is the look of the new millennium, and icicles are in. The only problem is that I can't pet Fat Louie or I'll get orange cat hair on myself. I should have gotten one of those masking tape roller things last time I was at Rite Aid, but I forgot. Anyway, he's sitting beside me on the futon. Bless you. Looking all sad because I won't pet him. I picked up all my socks just in case he got the idea in his head to punish me or something like that by eating another sock. But my dad just looked at his watch and went, 7:15. I can't say very much for this boy's promptness. Well, I tried to remain calm. Yeah, bless you. I'm sure there's a lot going on, I said in as princessy as a voice as I could. Yes, I'm sure, said my dad. He didn't sound very sad, though. Well, Mia, we can still make it to Beauty and the Beast if you want to go. I'm sure that I can get... Dad! I was horrified. I'm not going to Beauty and the Beast with you tonight. Now he sounded sad. But you used to love Beauty and the Beast. Well, thank God the intercom rang. It's him. My mom buzzed him up. The other stipulation before my dad would let me go is that besides Lars going, Josh has to meet both my parents and probably submit proof of ID, although I'm not sure Dad's thoughts on that yet. And I'm going to leave this book here because there's no room for it in my clutch, which is just like a skinny flat purse. I guess that's what they call it. Oh my God, my hands are sweating so hard. I should have listened to Grandmere when she suggested those elbow-length gloves. She said she was leaving her journal at home. However, the next segment is titled Saturday Night, Ladies' Room, Tavern on the Green. So, okay, so I lied. I brought this book anyway. I made Lars carry it. Well, it's not like he doesn't have room in his briefcase that he carries around. I know it's filled with silencers and grenades and stuff like that, but I also know that he could fit one measly journal in there too, and I was right. So, I'm in the bathroom at Tavern on the Green. The ladies' room here isn't as nice as the one at the plaza. There isn't like a stool to sit on in my stall, so I'm sitting on the toilet with the lid down. I can see a lot of fat ladies' feet moving around outside my door, and there's a whole lot of fat ladies in here, mostly for this wedding between this very Italian-looking dark-haired girl who needs a good eyebrow waxing and a skinny red-headed boy named Fergus, sorry. Fergus gave me the old eyeball when I walked into the dining room. I'm not kidding. My first married man, even if he's only been married for like an hour and he looks my age, this dress is bomb and made him look at me. Dinner's not so great. Not like I thought it would be, I mean. I know Grandmere told me which fork to use and all that and to tilt my soup bowl away from me, but like that's not it. It's Josh. Don't get me wrong. He looks totally hot in his tux and he told me he owns it. Last year he escorted his girlfriend before Lana to all the debutante events in the city, and his girlfriend before Lana was having been related to this guy who invented those plastic bags that you put veggies in when you go to the grocery store. Only his Only his were the first to say open here, so you knew which end you were supposed to try to open. Those two little words apparently earned that guy $500 million, or so says Josh. I don't know why he told me this. Am I supposed to be impressed by something his ex-girlfriend's dad did? He isn't acting very sensitive, to tell you the truth. Still, he was really good with my parents. He came in, he gave me a corsage. It's tiny white roses tied together with a pink ribbon, totally gorgeous. It must have cost him like at least $10. I couldn't help thinking, though, that he'd originally picked it out for another girl with a different color dress. And he shook my dad's hand, and he said, "It's a pleasure to meet you, Your Highness," which made my mom laugh really loud. She can be so embarrassing sometimes. And then he turned to my mom and said, "You're Mia's mother? Oh my gosh, I thought you must be like her college-age sister." Which is totally a foolish thing to say, but my mom actually fell for it, I think. She blushed as he was shaking her hand. I guess I'm not the only one of the Thermopolis women to fall under the spell of Josh Richter's blue eyes. And then my dad cleared his throat and started asking Josh a whole lot of questions about what kind of car he was driving, his dad's BMW, when we were going to be, where we were going, duh, the dance, and what time we were going to be back, in time for breakfast, Josh said. My dad didn't like that though, and Josh said, "Sorry, what time would you like her back, sir?" Sir. Josh Richter called my dad sir. And my dad looked at Lars and said, 1 o'clock at the latest. Which I thought was pretty decent enough of him, since normally my curfew is 11 on weekends. Of course, considering that Lars was going to be there, there wasn't anything that could actually happen to me. So it was kind of bogus that I couldn't stay out as late as I wanted, but Grammy told me that a princess should always be prepared to compromise. So I didn't say anything about that. And then my dad asked Josh some more questions, like where he was going to college in the fall. He hasn't decided yet, but he's applying to all the Ivy Leagues. And what does he plan on studying? Business. And then my mom asked him what was wrong with liberal arts education, and Josh said he was really looking for a degree that would guarantee him a minimum salary of $80,000 a year, to which my mom replied that there are more important things than money. And I said, "Gosh, look at the time," and grabbed Josh's hand and headed out the door. $80,000 a year. He's going to business school so that he can earn $80,000 a year in New York City. God bless him. I hope he survives. He doesn't even know what's coming in his adulthood. Josh and Lars and I went down to Josh's dad's car, and Josh held the door to the front seat open for me. And then Lars said, why didn't he drive, so that Josh and I could sit in the back and get to know each other. I thought this was a really nice of Lars to do, but when Josh and I got in the back, we didn't have a whole lot to say to each other. I mean, Josh was like, "You look really nice in that dress," and I said I liked his tux, and I thanked him for my corsage, and then we didn't say anything for like 20 blocks. I'm not even kidding. I was so embarrassed. I mean, I don't hang around with boys that much, and I've never had a problem with the ones that I have hung around. I mean, like, Michael Moskovitz practically never shuts up, and I couldn't understand why Josh wasn't saying anything. I thought about asking him who he'd rather spend eternity with if it was at the end of the world and he had to choose between Winona Ryder or Nicole Kidman, but I didn't feel like I knew him well enough. But finally, Josh broke the silence by asking if it was true that my mom was dating Mr. Gianni. Well, I should have expected that to get around. Maybe not as fast as me being a princess, but it had gotten around all right. So I said yes, it was true. And then Josh wanted to know what that was like, but for some reason I couldn't tell him about seeing Mr. G in his underwear at my kitchen table. It just didn't seem, I don't know. I just couldn't tell him. Isn't that funny? I told Michael Moskovitz about it without even having been asked, but I couldn't tell Josh even though he had looked in my soul and everything. Weird, huh? And then, after like a zillion more blocks of silence, we pulled up in front of the restaurant and Lars surrendered the car to the valet and Josh and I went in. Lars promised he wouldn't eat with us. He just stood nearby the door and watched everyone who arrived, like Arnold Schwarzenegger. And then it turned out all of Josh's entourage was meeting us here, which I didn't know, what I was kind of relieved to see. I mean, I'd been sort of dreading sitting there for another hour or so with nothing to say, but thank God all the guys on the crew team were at this big, long table with their cheerleader girlfriends, and at the head of the table were 2 empty spaces, one for Josh and one for me. I have to say, everyone has been pretty nice. All the girls complimented me on my dress and asked me questions about being a princess, like how weird it was to wake up and see your picture on the front page of the Post, do you ever wear a crown, all sorts of stuff like that. They're all much older than me. Some of them are even seniors, so they're all pretty mature. None of them have made any comments about how I have no chest or anything, like if Lana would have been there. But then, if Lana would have been there, I wouldn't have been there. The thing that surprised me the most is that Josh ordered champagne. Nobody even questioned his ID, which of course was totally fake. The table's been through 3 bottles already, and Josh just keeps ordering more since his dad gave him his Platinum American Express card for the occasion. I just don't get it. Can't the waiters tell he's only 18 and most of his guests are even younger than that? And how can Josh sit there and drink so much? What if Lars hadn't been here to drive? Josh would have been driving his dad's BMW half sloshed. How irresponsible can you get? And Josh is class valedictorian. And then without even asking me, Josh ordered dinner for the whole table. Filet mignon for everyone. I guess that's very nice and all, but I don't eat meat. And I won't do it, not even for the most sensitive boy in the world. And he hasn't even noticed that I haven't touched my food. I totally filled up on salad and bread rolls to keep from starving to death. Maybe I could sneak out of here and get Lars to pick up a veggie wrap for me from Emerald Planet. And the funny thing is, the more champagne that Josh has to drink, the more he keeps touching me. Like he's putting his hand on my leg under the table, and at first I thought it was a mistake, but now he's done it 4 times. And the last time, he squeezed it. I don't think he's drunk exactly, but he is certainly friendlier than he was in the car on the way up. Maybe he's just feeling like less inhibited with Lars not hovering around 2 feet away. Well, I guess I should go back out there. I just wish Josh would have told me that we were meeting up with his friends. Then maybe I could have invited Tina Hakim Baba and her date, or even like Lily and Boris. And then at least I'd have someone fun to talk to. Oh well, here goes nothing. Later Saturday night, girls' room, Albert Einstein High School. Why? Why? I can't even believe this is happening to me. I can't believe this is happening to me. Why me? Why? Why is it always me? Why do these things always have to happen to me? I'm trying to remember what Grammy told me about how to act under duress, because I am definitely under duress. I keep trying to breathe in through my nose, out through my mouth, like Grammy said, in through my nose, out through my mouth, in through my nose, out through. How could he do this to me? How could he do this to me? I could rip off his stupid face. I really could. I mean, who does he think he is? Do you know what he did? Do you know what he did? Well, let me tell you what he did. After polishing off 9 bottles of champagne, that's practically 1 whole bottle per person, except that I only had a couple of sips, so somebody drank my bottle as well as his. Josh and his friends finally decided that it was time to go to the dance. Oh, gee, let me see. The dance only started an hour before that, and it was only time that we finally left. So we go, and we wait for the valet to bring the car around, and I was thinking that maybe everything would be all right, since while we were waiting, Josh had his arm around my shoulders, which was really nice, since my dress is sleeveless, and even though I have a wrap, it's just a shimmery see-through veil kind of thing, so I was appreciative for his arm, since it's just keeping me warm. It's a nice arm, really, a very muscular arm from rowing. The only problem is Josh doesn't smell that good. Not a bit like Michael Moskovitz, who always smells like soap. No, I think Josh must have taken a bath in like Drakkar Noir, which large doses of actually does smell pretty vile. I could hardly breathe, but whatever. In spite of that, I'm thinking, okay, things aren't so bad. Yes, he didn't respect my rights as a vegetarian, but you know, everybody makes mistakes. We'll go to the dance. He'll look into my soul again with those electric blue eyes, and everything is going to be all right. Ha ha ha! Boy, was I ever wrong. First of all, we barely pulled up to the school, and honestly, there's so much traffic. At first, I couldn't figure out why, but yeah, like it's Saturday night. There still shouldn't be that much traffic in front of Albert Einstein, right? I mean, it's just a school dance. Most kids in New York City don't even have access to cars, right? We're probably the only people who go to Albert Einstein and drove there. And then I realized where there's so much congestion. There are news vans parked all over the place. They're shining these big bright lights all over the steps to Albert Einstein's, and there are reporters swarming all over the place, smoking cigarettes and talking on phones and just waiting. Waiting for what? Waiting for me, it turns out. As soon as Lars saw the lights, he started to swear very colorfully in some language that wasn't English and wasn't French, but you could tell that they were swear words by the tone of his voice. And I leaned forward and I was like, how could they have known? How could they have known? Do you think Grammy told them? But you know, I really don't think that Grammy would have done this. I really don't. Not after our talk. I laid it all on the line for Grammy. I came down on her like New York cop at a game of 3-card Monte. Grammy would not, I'm sure, ever call the press on me again, at least not without my permission. But there they were, and somebody had called them. And if it wasn't Grammy, then who was it? Josh was totally unconcerned by all the lights and cameras and everything. He goes, so what? You like ought to be used to this by now, right? Oh, right. Let me tell you how used to it I am by now. So used to it that the thought of getting out of the car, even with the arm of the cutest boy in the school around me, made me feel like I was going to barf up all the salad and bread that I ate. Hey, come on, Josh said. You and I can make a run for it while Lars goes and parks the car. Lars did not like that idea, and he went, I think not. You will park the car, and the princess and I will make a run for it. But Josh was already opening his door, and he had hold of my hand, and he said, come on, you only live once, and started dragging me out of the car. And like the really stupid chump that I am, I let him. That's right, I let him drag me out of the car because his hand felt so nice over mine, so big and protective, so warm and secure. I thought, oh, what could have happened? So a bunch of bulbs start flashing and going off. So what? We'll just make a run for it. Like he said, everything will be fine. So I said to Lars, that's okay, Lars, you park the car, Josh and I will go inside. And Lars said, no, wait, princess. Which were the last words I heard out of him for a while anyway, since by that time Josh and I were out of the car and he had slammed the door shut behind us. And then, instantly, the press was on us, everyone throwing down their cigarettes and pulling the lens caps off their camera and yelling, it's her! It's her! And then Josh was sort of pulling me up the steps and I was sort of laughing since for the first time it was kind of fun. Flash bulbs were going off everywhere, blinding me so that all I could see were the steps underneath us as we ran up them. And I was totally concentrating on holding up the hem of my dress so I don't trip on it. And I put all my faith in the fingers wrapped around my other hand. And I was completely dependent on Josh to lead the way since I really couldn't see a blessed thing. So when he stopped, I thought it was because we were at the school doors. I thought we stopped because Josh was opening the door for me. I know it's stupid, but that is what I thought. I could see the doors. We were standing right in front of them. Below us, on the stairs, the reporters were screaming and taking pictures, and some moron was yelling, kiss her, which I do not need to tell you was way, way embarrassing. So I just stood there like a complete idiot, waiting for Josh to open the doors, and instead of doing the smart thing, which was open the doors myself and get inside where it was safe, where there weren't any cameras or reporters or people yelling, kiss her. And then I don't know how, the next thing I knew, Josh had put his arm around me again, dragged me to him, and smashed his mouth against mine. I swear, that's exactly what it felt like. He just smashed his mouth up against mine. All these flashes started going off, but believe me, it wasn't like in those books Tina's always reading where the boy kisses the girl and she sees fireworks and stuff behind her eyelids. I was really seeing lights go off. But they were not fireworks. They were flashes from cameras. Everyone was taking pictures of the Princess Mia getting her first kiss. I'm not even kidding. Like, it wasn't bad enough that this was my first kiss. It was my first kiss and Teen People was photographing it. And another thing about those books that Tina reads, in those books, when the girl gets her first kiss, she usually gets this warm, gushy feeling inside. She usually feels like the guy is drawing up her soul from deep within her. Yeah, I did not get that feeling. All I got was embarrassed. I didn't feel especially good having Josh Richter kiss me. All I felt was like really, really strange. I felt strange having this guy stand there and smash his mouth against mine. And you would think after I spent so much time thinking this guy was the greatest thing on earth, I would have felt something when he kissed me. But all I felt was embarrassed. And like our car ride to the restaurant, I just keep wishing it would end. And all I could think is like, when is he going to stop this? Am I even doing this right? In the movies, their heads all move around a lot. Should I move my head around a lot? What am I doing? If he tries to stick his tongue in there, like, what am I supposed to do? Do it like when I see him and Lana doing it? I can't let Teen People take a picture of me with some guy's tongue in my mouth. My dad will kill me. And then, just when I thought I couldn't stand it another minute and that I was going to die of embarrassment right there on the steps of Albert Einstein High School, Josh lifted up his head, waved to the reporters, opened the door to the school, and pushed me inside, where, I swear to God, every single person I knew was standing there looking at us. I'm not kidding. There was Tina and her date from Trinity, Dave looking at me in a sort of shocked way, and there were Lily and Boris, and for once Boris hadn't tucked anything into anything that was supposed to be tucked. In fact, he almost looked kind of handsome, at least in like a geeky musical genius kind of way. Anyway, and Lily in a beautiful white dress with spangles all over it and white roses in her hair, and there were Shamika and Ling Su with their dates and a bunch of other people that I probably knew but didn't recognize out of their school uniforms, all looking at me with the same sort of expression. And Tina was wearing one of those a look of total and complete astonishment. And then there was Mr. G standing by the ticket booth in front of the doors to the cafeteria where the dance was being held, looking more astonished than anyone, except maybe me. I would have to say out of everybody there, I was the person in the most shock. I mean, Josh Richter had just kissed me. Josh Richter had just kissed me. Josh Richter had just kissed me. Did I mention that he kissed me on the lips? Oh, and that he did it in front of reporters from Teen People. So I'm standing there and everybody's looking at me and I could still hear the reporters yelling outside, and inside the cafeteria I could help the thump, thump, thump of the sound system as it ground out some hip hop tune or a tribute to Latino student population. And all these thoughts are moving really sluggishly through my head. Thoughts are saying, he set you up. He only asked you out so he could get his picture in the paper. He's the one who notified the press that you were going to be here tonight. He probably broke up with Lana just so he could tell his friends that he's dating a girl worth $300 million. And he never even noticed you until your picture was on the cover of the Post. Don't make me laugh on you. Lily was right. That day at Bigelow's, he was suffering from synaptic breakdown when he smiled at you. He probably thinks his chances of getting into Harvard or whatever are enhanced by the fact that he's the Princess of Genovia's boyfriend. And like a big idiot, I fell for it. Great. Just great. Lily says I'm not assertive enough. Her parents say I have a tendency to internalize everything and I have a fear of confrontation. My mom says the same thing, and that's why she gave me this book, in the hopes that what I won't tell her, I'll at least somehow put out there. If I hadn't turned out that I'm a princess, maybe I might still be all that stuff, unassertive, fearful of confrontation, and internalizer. I probably would not have done what I did next, which was turn to Josh and ask, why did you do that? He was busy patting himself down, trying to find the dance tickets to hand to the sophomores who were manning the ticket table. Do what? Kiss me like that, in front of everybody. He found the tickets in his wallet. I don't know. He said, did you hear them? They were yelling, kiss her, at me. So I did. Why? Because I didn't appreciate it. You didn't appreciate it? Josh looked confused. You mean you didn't like it? Yes, I said. That's exactly what I mean. I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. Because I know you didn't kiss me because you like me. You just kissed me because I'm the Princess of Genovia. Josh looked at me like he thought I was crazy. That's crazy, he said. I like you. I like you a lot. I said, you can't like me a lot because you don't even know me. That's why I thought you asked me out so that you could get to know me better, but you haven't even tried to get to know me. You just wanted to get your picture on the cover of Extra. He laughed at that, but I noticed he didn't look me in the eye when he said, what do you mean? I don't even know you, because of course I know you. No. You don't, because if you did, you wouldn't have ordered me a steak for dinner. I heard a murmur go around through all of my friends. I guess they recognized the seriousness of Josh's mistake, even if he didn't. He heard them too, so when he replied, he was talking to them too. All right, so I ordered the girl a steak, he said with his arms open in a so-sue-me sort of way. That's a crime now? It was filet mignon, for God's sakes. And Lily said, in her meanest voice, she's a vegetarian, you sociopath. This information did not seem to bother Josh very much. He just shrugged and went, oops, my bad. And then he turned to me and he said, all right, ready to slide? But I had no intention of sliding with Josh. I had no intention of doing anything with Josh ever again. I could not believe after what I had just said to him that he still thought I would want to. Like, the guy really was a sociopath. How could I have ever thought he'd seen into my soul? How? Disgusted, I did the only thing that a girl can be expected to do under those circumstances. I turned my back on him and I walked out. Only since, of course, I couldn't go back outside, not if I didn't want teen people to get a nice close-up of me crying, my only recourse was to walk into the girls' room. It finally registered on Josh that I was ditching him. By the time all of his friends showed up, they came tumbling through the doors just as they said, Jesus, it was just a kiss. I whirled around and I said, it wasn't just a kiss. I was getting really mad. Maybe that's how you wanted it to look, like it was just a kiss, but you and I both know what it really was. A media event, and one that you've been planning since you saw me in the Post. Well, thank you, Josh, but I can get my own publicity and I don't need you. Then, after holding out my hand to Lars for my journal, I took it and I stalked into the girls' room, which is where I am now, writing this. My God, can you believe that? I mean, I ask you, my first kiss ever. And next week, it's going to be on every teen magazine in the country. Probably even some international magazines will pick it up, like Majesty magazine, which follows the lives of all the young royals in Great Britain and Monaco. They were in this whole article on the wardrobe of Prince Edward's wife, Sophie, once rating each of her outfits on a scale of 1 to 10. They called it Out of the Closet. I don't suppose it'll be too long before Majesty magazine starts following me around, rating my wardrobe and boyfriends too. I wonder what the caption under the picture of me and Josh will be, Young Royal in Love. Excuse me, but ew. And then the kicker of it all is that I'm totally not in love with Josh Richter. I mean, it would have been very nice, but like, who am I kidding? It would have been great to have a boyfriend. Sometimes I think there really is something wrong with me that I don't have one. But the thing is, I would rather not have a boyfriend at all than have one who's using me for my money or the fact that my father is a prince or for any reason other than really like that he likes me for me and nothing else. Of course, now that everyone knows I'm a princess, it's going to be kind of hard to tell which guys like me for me and which ones like me for my tiara. But at least I realized the truth about Josh before things went on too long. How could I have ever liked him? He's such a user. He totally used me. He purposefully hurt Lana and then tried to use me. And I played right into his hands like the stupid sap that I am. What am I going to do? When my dad sees that photograph, he's gonna flip out. There's no way I'll ever be able to explain that it wasn't my fault. Maybe if I punched Josh in the stomach in front of those cameras, then maybe my dad would believe that I was an innocent bystander, but even then, probably not. I'll never be allowed out of the house with a boy ever again for the rest of my natural life. Oh, gosh. I see shoes outside my stall. Somebody's talking to me. It's Tina. Tina wants to know if I'm all right. Somebody's her with her. Oh my God, I recognize those feet. It's Lily. Lily and Tina both want to know if I'm all right. Lily's actually speaking to me again, not criticizing me or complaining about my behavior. She's actually speaking to me in a friendly manner. She's saying through the stall door that she's sorry for laughing at my hair and she knows she's controlling and that she suffers from borderline authoritarian personality disorder and that she's going to try to make a concerted effort to stop telling everyone, especially me, what to do. Wow. Lily's admitting that she did something wrong. I can't believe it. I honestly can't believe it. She and Tina want me to come out and hang out with them, but I told them I don't want to. It would be too awkward, all of them with dates and me by myself like a big old dope. And then Lily goes, "Oh, that's okay. Michael's here." What is that voice? That's all right. Michael's here. He's been hanging around by himself like a big dope all night. Michael Moskovitz came to a school event? I really can't believe that. He never goes anywhere except to like lectures on quantum physics and stuff. Well, I've got to see this for myself. I'm going to go out there. Okay, more on this later. Wow. All right. I really thought that we were going to finish this book today, but we still have 10 more %. Okay. Well, I guess we'll finish this one tomorrow. That chapter was very long, but a lot happened. Wow. Bad form, Josh. Bad form. All right. Well, it is such a cute book. I agree. You have tea. Oh my goodness, Cass. You missed the beginning because you're babysitting. Oh yes, that does happen. Well, I'll get it uploaded for everyone who missed it. I have to upload yesterday's and today's and some other stuff. I also have like a ton of orders to take to the post office. Like literally like over 100 orders are in the hallway right now waiting to go to the post office today. So that is good. And then don't forget tomorrow at 2 p.m. Josh needs to learn a lot of things. Consent being at the top of that list. Yes, but like so much more than that too. Oh yeah, Cass, that unfortunately has been extremely common. Extremely common. I wish I could say that that was an isolated incident, Cass, but it is like on the daily. Yeah. Yeah, that's a daily occurrence, apparently, from what I've been hearing. Yeah, I don't know. Why did I make this a bow? Yes. Oh, yeah, Cass. I mean, like, it makes me laugh every time I hear it, but it's just like, what are we even doing, you guys? Like, either wash your hands, wear gloves, or both. Those are your options. I don't know. Seems pretty obvious to me, but what do I know? I'm just a girl who's been doing this forever. We are at 91%. Now you said maybe laugh when it happened. I know it's so weird. We do not care about, yeah, they don't, Anya. They really don't. Like I said before, I think people think it's a get rich quick scheme. Spoiler alert, slime is not a get rich quick scheme. If you think that that's what's going on, you're wrong. Bad news for everybody. Okay, so tomorrow, 2 p.m. we have book club tomorrow morning, but then we have Roll for Slime at 2 p.m. tomorrow, which is great. I think that's it. That's like the whole kit and caboodle. Pretty much like almost all the orders are gonna get mailed between today and tomorrow. So good stuff. I will see you all on the flip side, and I hope you have a great day. I will get all of these uploaded for you. Yeah, literally. Seriously, Anya.